but I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you guys. I'm not digging it. The game is not doing it for me. It's too like it's it's oh man, it's hard to explain. It feels too much like a phone game for my personal tastes. I do enjoy some parts of the game. There's a few bits here or there that I really do dig. I still think the graphics are kind of cute. I like it. The platforming elements are kind of okay, especially now that I understand that there's more than just jumping. There's like you actually have an ability to like slightly dash forward, so that like adds a little bit to the jumping puzzles and stuff. But mostly, it is it's a JRPG, so obviously it's going to be repetitive and stuff. But it's just like the combat is so tedious that it makes it really really hard to get invested into want to grind up levels or just like do stuff like Dragon Quest, for example. Dragon Quest 11 was like the combat is super repetitive, like really really is, but it's also super fun. This combat system is like there's a little bit of depth here or there. Like there are things you can do to definitely make it interesting. Like for a little while there, I had like in my first formation, I had like one of my spell was like poison, and then on my back formation, I had a different spell. So what I would do is I would swap to the first formation. I would hit the enemies until they would be poisoned, and I would swap it back to the other formations. I could hit like with other kind of spells to the enemy. And I guess it gets more and more complex as you move along and as we get more characters. And I'm assuming at some point that there's ways to recruit more than to have more than 4 characters in your party. It's always going to be 4 at fighting, but like there's a section in the formation so that you can add or remove party members. So I'm assuming it means that later on we'll have the choice in between like, I don't know, maybe 6 party members, maybe 8. And then you can swap them out depending on the situation, depending on what kind of spell you want and stuff. And there's also the whole like grinding abilities that is on gear and stuff. That is also interesting. It's a thing that we see in the Tales games. It's also a thing that is in Final Fantasy 9, if I remember correctly. And yeah, so it's definitely has some interesting elements, but the meat of the game is obviously going to be combat. And if combat is not holding its like combat is like at least half of the game. So if combat is uninteresting or gets boring, like I was like it's kind of harsh, but like I was almost falling asleep. Like it's just not keeping my attention. It's too simple. There's not enough there. It's like I said, it's more like of a phone RPG almost, like where you just like hit like everything is boiled down to one button because there's not a lot of things you can do with a phone. Well, it's kind of it kind of seems like this game was meant to be a phone game and then like got pushed onto consoles, or I'm not quite sure. Like something just feels off with this. We didn't get that many bugs, so we got like one bug one time, and it was a very very minor bug. Like it didn't break anything. It was just like the console kind of the dev console kind of opened up, and then I had to close it. But it was kind of like an overlay over the game. It was like super tiny, kind of discreet. It wasn't too bad. The voice acting is fine in Japanese. I honestly did not try the voice acting in English, so I can't really talk about that very much. But voice acting was fine in Japanese, but it was like very very it's getting into like those compile hard kind of tropes where you get like a few characters that kind of sound like babies when they're talking, and then you have like more mature characters are there as well and stuff. And I could kind of see some parallels between those characters and the way they were voiced, even like the enemies and stuff too. The way some characters were in Death and Request, for example. And there definitely is something off with the little cues you get, the audio cues you get whenever you do something. Whenever you attack, they call out the attack that you're doing. Since the combat is so spammy, you keep hearing the same word every time you attack. It really gets on your nerve, and it does that too when you're jumping around. Like sometimes you'll jump around and there won't be any sound, and then some other times you'll jump around and every single jump you do, you'll hear the character saying like "Hey, ha, hey," like every single jump. it gets really old really, really fast. So for me, overall, guys, this game is very much a mixed bag. The story seems interesting. I do like the universe. I like the art style. Like I said before, the music was fine. It was adequate. Um, and the combat system, I can see like they wanted to give it some depth, but it was still like flawed from the beginning, just the way it was designed. And then yeah, the combat system could not hold up. It's part of what a JRPG is, which is like its own half of the game. Could not hold it up at all. And then, like I said, like it becomes really repetitive, very, very fast. The map design is also very repetitive. That's why I said like, it reminds me a lot of like a phone game. Like always the same backgrounds, copy pasted in different locations, but always the same thing. I would get that kind of stuff in like Epic 7, which is a phone game. Like I would get exactly that kind of vibe from it. But the difference is when I'm playing Epic 7, I know I'm playing a phone game. So Super Neptunia RPG is a game that is being sold for full price, which is like $49.99 USD. So it's still pretty pricey. Now I'm wondering what the, because it officially came out today. On like I had this as a free, I received a free copy from Idea Factory, which is the publisher, but I'm wondering like how it's doing. I know apparently it wasn't doing too well in Japan. A friend of mine visited Japan and he said that he wasn't doing too well over there, so I'm kind of wondering what kind of reviews it's getting. According to this, this is so weird to me, huh? Most of the page of Neptunia RPG is not translated. Oh no, it's the name of the game. So it's like you have the name in English and then you have it in Japanese. So that's what's going on there. Okay. So Artisan Studio is the studio that made this game. Everybody's loving it. Apparently, I'm the outlier. It has mostly positive review, and everybody is saying like this is clearly a Neptunia game and stuff. Maybe that universe is not for me. That also could be it. But honestly, it's really the combat. They're saying that it does not play well on the keyboard. I gotta say, I didn't try playing on the keyboard. I played like on with a controller, which was fine. Like honestly, that's one thing though. I can safely say no bugs, like really no bugs. So at the very least, there's that. And yeah, like everybody's loving it. There's only one bad review as I'm seeing here, but that bad review is pretty meaty, like very, very meaty. Let's see here. Let's see the points they're making. So they're saying that the pros, it has a Neptunia charm, and it's a quality port, and it is. The cons, awful combat, extremely lazy quest design. I mean, so far I can totally agree. The quest design was fine though. I'm okay with those like little fetch quests and stuff. That's fine. It's not great, but it's for what it was fine. It was okay. Copy paste level design. I did touch up on that a little bit earlier. See, I'm not the only one thinking that. And then the wonky movement. That was, yeah, I didn't touch on that all that much, but that was kind of weird because like you're in 2D, right? But you're also like kind of on the rails. When you're out in the world, it's not too bad. But when you're in town, there's no like going like in 3 dimensions. So like everything is in a 2D plane. If you reach a point where like there's 2 separate paths, you have to walk all the way back to like almost like on a on a rail. Like you walk all the way back past that point, and then you push up, and then you walk back to where you were, so that your character, when it gets to that branching path, will instead go up instead of going like straight. And it's kind of annoying sometimes because like you kind of wish your character could just like walk and go like run in the background. Like they could have made that possible just in the towns. Like in the towns you move in 3D, in the overworld you move in 2D. That would have been possible. That would have been great. just to give it like that extra little depth or freedom of movement in town. But like, it wasn't something that was too bad in my opinion. It wasn't really that much of an issue for me. It just like I'm used to that kind of stuff, so I was just kind of like, okay, you know, that's the kind of thing we usually get. So I was kind of fine. Yeah, no, I mean I here yeah, it was adequate. It was an adequate game. It was fine, but it really wasn't that like super awesome either. It was just fine. It was just fine.